So, with the Thursday night football game and the Sunday games out of the way, we're going to go ahead and do our good, bad, and player of the week for NFL Week 8. And remember, we don't do anything with the Monday games. This is just kind of a way to talk about the Sunday games and get it, talking and start, get that talk for the week of football. So, for the bad, let's start with Thursday night football. We had quite a few injuries. Kyler Murray got hurt, Tunyon got hurt. I think I'm missing a couple others that, took some nasty hits. But yeah, the Thursday night football was just kind of proving why, the idea of Thursday night football can be really bad sometimes. 3 days rest, absolutely no practice. It's not beautiful. They get like an entire, basically an extended week off, kind of like a mini bye, but still, it's not beautiful. It's not the greatest thing for the players and their bodies. It just kind of shows that Thursday night football, even though it is their job, they don't put them in a good spot to succeed in their job. And then speaking of injuries, Jameis Winston took a nasty hit. And then since we're at it, I guess also that broke this morning was Derrick Henry's, has an injury that could keep him out for the season, which really, really sucks for the Titans. And then Jameis getting hurt last week. I guess we'll talk about them separately. Jameis is injured. His knee just bent and buckled. He tried to walk off the field. He couldn't do it. But that injury was really, really bad. It was not pretty. I hope he's all right. And then same with Derrick Henry. He's basically the life of the Titans. And if the Titans don't have Derrick Henry, their season is basically over. Like, without Derrick Henry, what do they have? I made the proposal, if you saw on my Twitter, that, they should just go ahead and call the Browns and trade for one of their running backs because they have 3 of them. Obviously, Chubb's not going to be one of them, but if they traded for Hunt or Dearness Johnson, they might, I think, if I'm the Titans today, I'm calling the Browns. But those injuries suck, man. They really, really suck. Another bad from the week, if we're getting into the football side of things, is the Lions are god-awful. This is the first week that I was really high on them and hoping they would win, and they just absolutely choked, crapped the bed, and didn't do anything right. Like, the one week that the entire world was high on them, credit to the Eagles, they came out playing, but us fans are like, all right, this is the week for the Lions. The Eagles are not playing good football. Yeah, I don't care about the Lions' toughness anymore. I'm off the Lions. They're terrible. They're bad. They're not a good football team. And same with the Bengals. How did they lose to the Jets? Now, you'll get here in a second why, the Jets may have, not found their quarterback of the future, but definitely have a chance to win some games while Zach Wilson's out. But the Bengals were just bad. Their red zone offense struggled a couple times, even after the turnovers they got, that the Jets turned the ball over. And the Bengals almost didn't do anything with it. The Bengals played a very bad football game against a team. Their defense gave up 31 points to the Jets. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that the Bengals were riding really high on last week's win over the Ravens and, kind of read the headlines and like, oh, it's another bye week? All right, let's act like it. And they got, I wouldn't say destroyed, but they got outplayed by the Jets. And the same with the Jags. This was just my fault. I thought this week, okay, the Seahawks are playing Geno Smith. This is going to be the week the Jags can win. Yeah, no, I was wrong. The Jags are just bad. Urban Meyer's a terrible football coach. Yeah, at least in the NFL. College, he's great. NFL, bad. Yeah, that's my fault for being high on 2 of the worst teams in football this week when I really thought they had a chance to win. That's on me. Never come to me for betting advice. Carson Wentz is also really bad this week. God, he had some of the worst interceptions and turnovers this year. The guy doesn't turn the ball over. When he does, he makes sure it counts. Like, he threw an interception in his own end zone for a pick 6 off of one of the worst throws. I think every week we're saying he's making some of the worst throws in football. That was a bad throw. Like, I don't know what Carson Wentz does with the ball. But, like, I think I see on Barstool's Big Cat, like, he tweets out all the time that, well, not all the time, but, like, Carson Wentz, there's not a play that he doesn't think he can't make. That's true. This dude thinks he can make every play. Every play. That was horrendously bad. Kind of cost them the game. That was really bad by Carson Wentz. Another thing is the Dolphins' offensive line. Yeah, screw the Dolphins' offensive line. I'm a fan of Tua, and they are not putting him in a chance to succeed. So screw the offensive line of the Dolphins. They need to protect him more. And then there's also game management by both the Broncos and the Saints. Luckily, they both won. But I think at the end of the Broncos game, the Saints threw the ball 3 times, gave the ball back to Tom Brady. And I think Tom Brady threw an interception on the very next drive. But that management was so bad. We were all wondering, what the heck is Sean Payton doing? And then, the Broncos kind of threw it away because I think Melvin Gordon threw on the first play. They threw an incomplete pass on the next play. And then after that, Melvin Gordon fumbled. Good thing they were playing Washington, whose offense has no life. Oh, they probably would have lost that game. But yeah, the management at the end of the game for both of those teams was horrendous. And then same with the Vikings on Sunday Night Football. They had a timeout at the end of the first half and didn't use it. Yeah, I don't understand what teams are doing with clock management this week. It was really bad. And then Antoine Winfield mocking Jameis's injury. I should have mentioned this after I said Jameis. Like, the dude literally mocked him after he picked him off. And then the funny thing is the interception didn't even count, so I guess the joke's on him. But, man, the Bucs are such a dirty team. Like, I'm a fan of Tom Brady, him in particular, but their defense is so dirty, man. They had a couple hits. I think it was on Simeon. Possibly. That was unnecessary. There was no reason. And then I again, with these videos, there's no flow, there's no order. It's what I see and what I remember from the week, and I just write it down. If we're going back to the Bengals game, they did get screwed on the last drive on a roughing call that shouldn't have been a thing. It was an unnecessary roughness call. I don't know what that was. The defender lowered his head first, and then the Jets player kind of met him just as low, and they hit helmet to helmet. That shouldn't have been a flag. Whichever way it was, it shouldn't have been a flag on anybody. That was poor. I don't know why the refs thought it was smart to call a flag there on anybody. That kind of, the Bengals did play bad, but there was a third down that they stopped them. So yeah, that's pretty bad by the refs on that. And the refs were bad all game, because if we go back to the Cowboys game, man, the refs were terrible. There was a field goal drive that the Vikings, I think, had late in the first half. That the only reason why they got that was because the refs basically handed them 3 penalties that shouldn't have been penalties. There was a roughing call, there was an unnecessary roughness hit, there was a late hit, whatever it was. There was 45 yards of penalties on that one drive because the refs thought it would be funny to pick on the Cowboys that drive. Luckily, it didn't matter, and the Cowboys held on to the win. But those refs on that drive were god awful, man. And then just in general, the Vikings being a bad football team, Kirk Cousins is terrible. I saw some, I was watching the World Series game last night, so I didn't necessarily see every single play or every drive from Sunday Night Football. But I did see the end of the game, and I saw some highlights, and God, Kirk Cousins is so bad. Some people were saying this morning that he was more worried about his completion percentage than he was his actual, winning the game. Because there was 3 plays where he checked down to the running back and lost 10 yards total on those 3 plays when he had Adam Thielen or Justin Jefferson wide open. Yeah, Kirk Cousins is a bad quarterback. They lost because of Kirk Cousins. Yeah, that offense has no life. They're a bad football team. That's my fault for even thinking they were good. They have the talent to be good. I think their quarterback's holding them back. Now we go on to the good for the week. Mike White. God, that dude is, playing some really good football. Yeah, he had some turnovers, blah, blah, blah. He came in and he made a statement against the Bengals. That was a really good game by Mike White. The Rams, continuing their domination. Yeah, whatever. The Texans backdoored covered that game. Bettors were mad. I'm not mad. I don't bet. Now, if I bet, I'd be mad. That would be one game that you really hope that you bet the Texans and 16.5 points or whatever it was. But yeah, the Rams, dominant, good as ever. Honestly, probably the best team in football right now. I don't know. Next, we have the Colts. The Colts' best offensive play, and I put this on good because I just think it's great. 2 weeks in a row, Carson Wentz is so good at underthrowing his receivers that they're drawing defensive pass interference, every deep pass. It's funny as heck to watch, and it's their best offensive play. There's no doubt about it. That's awesome. I don't know. It's bad football, but for me, it's really funny, and I love watching it. It's just funny to see Carson Wentz just huck the ball up there, 45 yards, underthrow Pittman or Pascal, and then all of a sudden there's a defensive PI because Carson Wentz doesn't, throw the ball deep enough. But, that's their best offensive play. And if I was the Colts, that should have been the play they went to in overtime to try to beat the Titans, but whatever. The Saints, man. The Saints, after rallying after Jameis got hurt, I thought the Saints defensively, offensively played the best game they could have with the situation they had. That the defense of the Saints, they caused some turnovers by Brady, 3 of them to be exact. And yeah, I thought the Saints played a very good game for for Winston getting hurt and the situation of Trevor Siemian coming in, who I thought did his best for what, the situation he was given that game. And then Cooper Rush, man, I got to give him some credit for the Cowboys win too. Like, I even tweeted out, I was like, well, the Cowboys they're playing the Vikings on prime time with Kirk Cousins as their quarterback, so they were probably going to win no matter who was playing, but I also had that feeling. I was like, all right, the Cowboys aren't going to play very good. No, I think the Cowboys, as, not so good of a game that Sunday Night Football was. I think the Cowboys played a very solid game, a very good game for what they were in. Their defense is quick, and, Cooper Rush made the plays he needed to, didn't really cost it. He did have a couple turnovers. One of them, was tipped and intercepted, and the other one was just because Tony Pollard didn't catch up the blitz. But yeah, it was probably the best game you could ask for a backup quarterback to win a game on Sunday Night Football. And then if we get to the player of the week, obviously it's Mike White. I couldn't even think of anybody else off the top of my head. The dude beat the number one seed in the AFC at the time. I know we're only 7-8 weeks into the season, but man, he had 405 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did throw 2 interceptions, whatever. It's the Jets. You expect bad football. But they won the game with Mike White, who played his heart out. I don't want to say that there's a controversy in New York, but there's a controversy in New York. I thought Mike White played a very good football game. He did everything he was asked and could do to help the Jets win that game. They won it, and they're not a playoff team. They're not a good football team. The Jets have beaten 2 really good teams in the Titans and Bengals this year. So that's more of an indictment on the other 2 teams than it is the Jets, because the Jets are just fighting for anything they can get right now. And these teams need to be winning those games against the Jets, who aren't very good. These are the games that the Bengals needed to win, the Titans needed to win. But big props to the Mike White and the Jets for having a very good game and, giving the Jets the win, even though they're just giving their franchise false hope, which is not good for Jets fans, because I don't want them. Yeah, they're always miserable. The Jets are bad.